Good morning and welcome to Rising. We have a great show for you today. I'm Amber Duke, joined by Niall Stanage.
Good to be with you, Amber. Always a pleasure to see you, even in rather somber circumstances, I think, this week.
Yeah, tough day, but we're going to get to the news coming up on Rising. Senator Rand Paul is now revealing more information on the U.S. attack on the Venezuelan cartel boat.
Plus, Paramount Skydance is reportedly preparing an offer to buy Warner Brothers, which owns CNN.
And there may be tension between President Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu after the country's latest strike on Hamas leaders in Qatar.
But first, President Trump dropping a bombshell development earlier this morning in the hunt for Charlie Kirk's killer. Take a listen to that.
I always say, I think, just to protect us all, and so Fox doesn't get sued, and we all don't get sued, and everything else. But I think with a high degree of certainty, we have him in custody.
The president went on to indicate that he believed it was a person close to the suspect who ultimately turned him in. Sources tell our sister network, News Nation, that the suspect confessed to his father that he was the shooter. After the FBI released these photos of a person of interest, the Bureau described him as college-aged and wearing a black long-sleeve shirt, blue jeans, a hat and sunglasses at the time of the shooting. It is unclear if this is the same person who is in custody. The FBI also released this video of the alleged shooter. You can see him there running across the rooftop, jumping down from the building, and investigators say they have also discovered a footwear impression, a palm print and forearm prints.
As for the shooter's motive, still unclear, but the Wall Street Journal is reporting that a bolt-action rifle was found in a wooded area nearby, and reports that ammunition associated with the gun was engraved with expressions promoting, quote, transgender and anti-fascist ideology. In the meantime, Kirk's casket was carried by his friend, the Vice President J.D. Vance, aboard Air Force Two to make its final trip to Arizona, where his family lives.
This came just hours after Trump made this announcement ahead of his speech at a Pentagon September 11th memorial ceremony. Take a listen.
Before we begin, let me express the horror and grief so many Americans at the heinous assassination of Charlie Kirk have felt. Charlie was a giant of his generation, a champion of liberty, and an inspiration to millions and millions of people. I'm pleased to announce that I will soon be awarding Charlie Kirk posthumously the Presidential Medal of Freedom.
So, Amber, I mean, obviously, very sad. Any form of political violence is terrible, and this was a terrible shooting. I don't want to put you in an awkward situation, but you obviously did know Charlie Kirk personally, and so I want to honour that as well. How are you doing? What's? I mean, I can guess at your feelings, but where are you in this?
Yeah, I appreciate that. Very sad, mostly really angry. Charlie was doing what he thought was the thing to prevent political violence, which is actually having dialogue and conversations with people who disagreed with him. He said many times, including on one of his most recent college tours, that when people stop talking, that's when the violence starts. And so for him to go out doing that is just tragic. He was a really generous person with his time. You know, I can't say that I was incredibly close with him, but I've met him multiple times over the years, have spoken at Turning Point events, have done his podcast, and he was just kind to everybody that came in contact with him. Hearing from employees about how he would notice things that they were doing that they weren't aware that he even knew about, and would praise them and encourage them. Yeah, it's been a really hard week. And I think it's compounded with the fact that obviously working in news, you have to cover these events and get information to your readers, and doing that at the same time that you're trying to grieve and process the loss of someone that most of us in conservative media either knew or worked with, has been incredibly challenging.
I know you say you would have met him numerous times. You weren't necessarily like ultra close friends, but he did travel with a security team, or he did have a security team on this occasion. Was he conscious of these kinds of threats in general, do you know? Or
I think he was aware that it was a possibility. He talked about having a threat made on his life somewhat recently. And I think it just speaks to his courage and his bravery that, and who's to say, maybe he was afraid of something like this happening, but to have that fear or not have that fear and continue doing this anyway, and having the support of his wife to keep doing it, knowing that there was a potential threat, shows, I think, just how important he thought what he was doing was. And I think, honestly, the fact that, just going back to the start of Turning Point USA, he started Turning Point, I believe, in 2012, the year that he graduated high school. Charlie and I are actually the same age. I went to college and remember hearing about this guy who was starting this political organization. And frankly, at the time, a lot of us thought he was crazy. We're like, no way this is going to succeed. The college Republicans have the monopoly on, campus conservatism. Who is this guy? Who does he think he is coming in trying to start this new group? And obviously he was immensely successful, not only on college campuses, but actually getting these student events up and running where he would have thousands of students coming to the Student Action Summit or the Young Women's Leadership Summit, and also creating Turning Point Action in 2019, which was the 501c4 that was doing grassroots campaign work for Donald Trump in the last election and really helping to turn the tide with young voters. I feel that he had been put on this earth for a reason, that God gave him a purpose, and he more than fulfilled that purpose. And I think a lot of people in the conservative movement feel this way, but that he is a martyr.
I want to be as sensitive as possible, both to his memory and to you. I mean, I would have disagreed with almost all of Charlie Kirk's views, as he would have disagreed with mine, and that's fine. It is fine for us to have vigorous disagreements in this country. I remember going through similar dynamics like this in Ireland, where people who I knew would have lost people to violence at the hands of groups whose political analysis I was somewhat sympathetic. It just gets very kind of complicated on a personal level. Is there anything, I know we only have a couple of minutes left in this segment. Is there anything else that you want to say or any other direction you want to go in this?
I hope that the suspect that they have is indeed the person. There was obviously two people that they had supposedly caught early on that it turned out were not the person. So I hope that they have actually found the killer, and I believe we're going to find out shortly, perhaps through a press conference, who that person is, confirming motivation, and I hope that person is held accountable. The Utah governor, in a speech earlier this week, reminded the nation that Utah still has the death penalty and that is a possibility for this. I also would like to echo a lot of the words of my fellow conservatives that retribution should come in the form of civic action and not violence. Charlie was very opposed, obviously, to political violence. He believed in talking out differences, having conversations. And I think the best way to honor his memory is by, yes, speaking forcefully, continuing to stand by our beliefs, and perhaps even if you haven't been speaking out before, doing that in his memory, but also not allowing this to turn into some type of civil war situation. I don't think that's what he would want.
Sure. I'm sure this is difficult for you, and I think that you've articulated, as I would expect, all those positions very well. So I'm not going to go any further than that.
Thank you. Appreciate that. All right. Up next, Senator Rand Paul is spilling secrets on the U.S. strike on a purported drug cartel boat off the coast of Venezuela. We have all the details next.